Athens Music Week Phygital Edition, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η μουσική εβδομάδα της Αθήνας ενώνει τον φυσικό με τον ψηφιακό κόσμο. Μια διεθνής μουσική συνάντηση με ομιλίες, παρουσιάσεις, webinars και showcase συναυλίες από όλη την Ευρώπη. 50 εκπρόσωποι της μουσικής βιομηχανίας, 28 καλλιτέχνες, 17 χώρες, 6 μέρες. Athens Music Week, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η καρδιά της μουσικής είναι εδώ. Συνδιοργάνωση Τεχνόπολη Δήμου Αθηναίων μέσω events. Athens Music Week.
Back again on another Athens Music Week Phygital Edition 2020. Hopefully the last one. We'll see. I hope it will not be Phygital only again. We're here now for, I think, a topic that should matter younger generations. A topic that for people like my guests here who are, let's say, experienced, to be kind, you know, music industry friends. It's a problem that we often have to face, like new rules, new needs. Okay, we will not analyze why we are in the need to probably all of us rethink the way we behave, not only in the music industry but also in other topics of the everyday life. But so the question is, with this very complementary, I would say, experts, to tackle some, in 55 minutes, some so essential questions that we could take 5 hours or days maybe to discuss about this, but we need to try and sum up some, let's say, tips, hints of what it means to try to remain alive, then to not only remain alive, but to become sustainable again, and to get back from the ashes and to do what you like also. So, COVID-19 makes us rethink business strategy. Are you updated, or should you go back to school is the name of the topics. And we have, I will try to do this geographically, guys. We have, I think, Mr. Jegesh, you are northern than anyone. Are you in Hamburg still?
Yes, I'm in Hamburg.
So, can you tell us in very short, because you've many, who are you, Mr. Zsolt Jegesh, and what are you doing in Hamburg?
Thank you for inviting me. So I started this music business thing maybe 15 years ago or more. I established a new record label in Hungary, and the original idea was that the music business is in trouble. That time I worked for the EMI, who just remember the EMI. It was a huge music company.
It was.
And yeah, and we started that 360 activity that time. And I tried to find the talents in Hungary who could be suited to the whole music industry for the festivals of Western Europe. So I started to visit a lot of conferences and showcase festivals. And in the end, I just realized that it's not so possible to put some Hungarian band into the lineup of a huge festival. So
you mean abroad?
Yes, and right now I'm in Hamburg, and I try to benefit from all of these mistakes and the tries that what I did in the past. And right now I'm a teacher and advisor, and
I Central also, Party, I think, and Hemi Partner and the Meitschland. Sorry to force you a bit. We have to pass on. That's why I'm saying, because you're too kind, and you're not. I can be you said, your promoter, if you want.
Thank you.
No, Iceman, as we say it in the circle, is also one of the initiator of the Central Party. As I told you guys in backstage before, it's I think a very innovative initiative from some persons from one country, which with other partners from other countries managed to gather a common pot, let's say, of funding in order to go with a common contract signing to do promotion with Reaper Band, Eurosonic, CO Pop, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So this is also one of the hats, and you are the president of HAIL, which is the Hungarian Association of
HAIL.
HAIL. I didn't
Hell.
dare to say it because, how to say it.
Yeah, I know,
Hell,
I know. Yeah, that's the Hungarian Indie Labels Association, and we just established it last year, so it's quite fresh.
Thank you. So we said, is it London or Bristol first, geographically, from north to south?
Brighton. I'm down as far south as you can get.
Okay, so it should be London then, right?
Okay.
If they're above you, we go south. Yes, Matt. Few words about you and SMB, the Music Business School of London.
Hi, yes. So I'm Matt, the director of SMB, the School of Music Business in London, which since the pandemic, we've been providing immersive courses online. And over the last few months, we've welcomed students from across the globe. I'm also an artist manager, music business consultant, and board member for JUMP, the European Music Market Accelerator. Great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
We thank you for being here. Would you like maybe to give us one or two slides of your preferences in expertise, in which kind of person you're spending the most time with, when it's about education, or I don't know, what's the age of those persons?
It's a huge range. We from 18 to, I think the eldest student I've taught was 74. So it's a really broad spectrum, and now globally. In terms of the subjects I teach at the school are artist management and music marketing, which is something I've been involved with for about 18 years.
I knew it, which is why I invited you on this topic. Thank you, Matt. So we go to Brighton then. Stephen, it's your turn.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. It's very nice to be here. So my background is predominantly in music publishing A&R. So I've worked at Sony ATV, I've worked at EMI Publishing, I've worked at independent publishing companies, Polar Patrol, 7PM Music, and 13 Artists. So I've had a really good sort of mix of majors and independent publishing companies over my career. I started out as a roadie. I started out as a lighting designer for a band called The Levelers back in the 90s, and the highlight of that was doing the lights on at Glastonbury on the main stage on the Saturday night, which was definitely a moment. I think I was still quite young. I was only sort of 25, 26 when that happened. So that was good. And it sort of that touring experience gave me a grounding for the career in A&R and working with musicians and working with artists and songwriters. Through my career, I've been lucky enough to work with bands like Bell and Sebastian and Snow Patrol. Worked with some great artists from Manchester called Ray and Christian. I've been involved with a songwriter called Johnny McDade, who co-wrote with Ed Sheeran, a band called Here We Go Magic. And the last band that I signed was a band called the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets from Perth in Australia.
So really...
Who are just like the best rock band on the planet, I think, in my humble opinion. Best new rock band on the planet, I should add.
That's quite a range, Stephen. Wow.
It's quite a range, yeah. But I'm quite eclectic with my musical tastes. So that's right. And then now I'm in this stage in my life. I've just set up a music consultancy, and I'm working across some publishing things. I'm working across some catalog and some education. And I'm really enjoying working with the team at JUMP on various things for the JUMP program.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much. So remember, everyone, I told you he was not really speaking a lot before during backstage. Kostis, no, sorry. Ljubljana is way higher than us. How's the weather? It's windy as the last time we were there.
Hello. No, this day is quite okay. I mean, it's not like 50 degrees in Greece, but it's really nice, let's say 20.
Wow.
Which is okay. Yeah, which is quite
Same
cool.
as here, actually.
Yeah.
It's not 50 here at the moment.
The only difference is they see the Alps with no snow, I guess. But Peter, we also know we've met in a great Skopje Pint conference a few years ago. You are one of those persons working with, let's say, a music council. You've been in clubs. You've been in the Ministry of Culture in Slovenia. You are a musician. You've been in several bands. You are educating music professionals as much as you can, and so many other things. You want to say a few words about you?
Uh, Actually, you did it completely perfect. What I can add is actually that, for example, my position here is quite different than the other guys because they are really working in music industry. We have to know, and my perspective today will be speaking about same topic from the position where we actually cannot speak about music industry in Slovenia. So that's going to be maybe a little bit different view to the same topic today from my side.
What you mean is the usual discussion that you still may have in some ministries across Europe, where when you go there as a musician or manager or producer, they say, "Yeah, but where is the cultural identity, right?" And they say, "No, no, no, it's not. It's not about business and money. It's bad. It's evil, right?" That's what you say.
Yeah. I think this is a typical problem from many countries like Slovenia or Eastern Europe that we have this kind of gap. We have industry and
And we
we have
have
music,
funded music.
and we don't have music industry, like some crossing, matching point of different governmental bodies like Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Economic. So this is a big issue, I think, for many countries from this part of Europe.
So maybe we should do a topic for if they should go back to school. We'll think about that for next one. So we can finally come down here in Athens and to Kostis Nikiforakis, which means in Greek she's probably from Crete originally.
No, actually, I mean, probably somewhere down the line, yeah. But, you know, no,
We have
Athens,
those, you know,
Athens.
like in UK you have the Mac, the clans, and when you have Akis at the end of a name in Greek, usually it's from the big island.
Yeah, no, I'm Athens born and bred. Yeah, and I guess the reason I'm here, as I said before, off camera, is that, you know, I've worked all sorts of levels of music, from like you know, the record shop and you know the DJ record shop, the CD shop. I've been, you know, in warehouses sealing up CDs, to you know, the radio, being a radio producer for 13 years, to being a promoter, booking artists to come to Greece, to actually having my own label, independent label, and then eventually becoming a manager for a sub-label, let's say, of one of the largest record labels in Greece. And this sub-label is called Jungle Juice, and it's sort of focuses on rap music, hip hop, and R&B styles.
And you also play on some of the most famous radio stations of Athens, on FM and on the web.
Yep, absolutely.
And you brought us some fantastic artists a few days ago, because we were shooting also the showcases here, as you know.
Yeah, so I was just putting on the backing tracks. So I've also been a DJ, so you know, I've kind of done all the different things.
Well, also to give a detail to our fellow guests here, we are, as you know, in a country of 12 million inhabitants, and well, as you can imagine, the video views or the monetization questions, etc., are not the ones you guys in UK can speak about, or you even Jolt in Germany. But we speak about some million views for some of your artists on YouTube.
Yeah, some of my artists, actually, some of them, one of the artists that performed here the other day, Moose, he's actually a very new artist. He's been going less than a year, been rapping 2 years, and he's got like some millions of views on YouTube at the moment. So
for a country like Greece, just to put the things back on track. Well, guys, so thank you for being all here. I mean, I hope and I wished we could have more time, but I just have to say that it's like a TV show. So at some points, the team will give us the cues. It will be 10 minutes, then it will be 5 minutes, and then well, it will be 0 minutes. Unfortunately, we'll have to cut. So let's get deeper a little bit. As I was saying, we don't have and we don't wish to tackle the obvious obstacles there are today. Today we are end of May, beginning of June. This showcase presentation will happen in 50 days, so not many things are going to change back then. Most of us who want to have the info on what's going on regarding live, traveling ban, restrictions, sanitary rules, we all know that more or less, even if one country is free, the other one is not. And for some of you, I can tell you that in a previous panel, We are here in a venue which belongs to the city of Athens. Peter and Zsolt, you've been here. There's a place, an open-air venue here of 6,000 persons capacity. And now, after the 15th of July, they will be allowed to bring people only with entrance fee, seated, and in total, it will be 800 persons seated for 6,000 initially capacity. So as you can understand, we're far away of anticipating on back to normal again, okay? And speaking of this, it's the connection to ask to the point. The connection with all of you is you all know how to deal about artists, music, let's say the product. It's either the end product, which is the song on the EP, digitally, whatever, either the product, which is the song, the singer, the band, whatever, and then all the merchandising that goes around. And this, as a philosophy, we will start considering that it's the same approach, basically, either for grassroots talents or rising stars. And of course, the needs and the dimension of the needs change a lot the more you're getting famous. But initially, if you want to start, anyway, you have to consider there are some pillars, as Dino was saying this morning from Italy, right? Which was the creative part, the distribution and commercialization part, the educational and up-to-date part using technology or not, and the fourth one, I don't remember, so we'll cut on this one. So the first question goes to Zsolt and Steven and Zsolt. We can do the north-south if you want to keep this thing. In your opinion, I mean, considering the radical change, as we said, and the uncertainty of the future. So to be very precise, I don't say that they will not be live again, but I say that for the next 12 months, if we're not dummies, we know that there might be some unpredictable waves or not. So are we spending all our energy to do streaming, or are we learning to do streaming and monetize? When to do streaming? Is it forced for everyone? What is forced for everyone? So what is the thing you think, what are the minimums, Zsolt and Steven, you think that in any case, either a rising talent, either, let's say, grassroots talent, and what we wanted to say by this, which goes for everyone, is we wanted to differentiate somebody who lives from music already, 100%, from somebody who lives and makes a team live from that. Okay, the manager, the booker, etc., etc. It's not good or bad, it's just to situate the discussion, okay? So, Zsolt,
Yeah.
what do you think is the major thing at the moment for you as a label manager, as a tour manager? What would be the first focus? I mean, you reacted, first month, lockdown, March. It's not happening to me. Yes, it is. Okay, second month, okay, it's happening for good. Third month, this is not going to... So you have to react at some point, correct? What are the first things you think somebody should do?
Okay, for me, it was really quite bad situation, because it was the beginning of March when all of my planned events just cancelled. You know, at the Sea of Pop Festival, then the Great Escape, and right now I'm in discussion with the Reeperbahn Festival. And I just realized that all of my activities, like managing an event, teaching my class in Budapest, or I planned a meeting in Bucharest at the Master in the Music Business Festival. So all of these things just disappeared.
So no networking, you mean? No capacity to go and sell what you know how to sell for all these years?
It's not just no networking. It's I just fell
no
out
revenues.
from
Sorry,
the people.
yes, I forgot.
Not just the revenues, the people. You know, I'm right here. I'm not so long ago here in Hamburg, so I don't have a huge group of friends. So it's really tough for me. But Hamburg it's a really nice city, and I like to be here. So it's also hard. But back to your question, it's really amazing that it cleared out that the digital platforms, the online concerts, is not enough. the point of the music business is the live event. So
So what do you do? You change field of work?
no, right now I don't know, because I have a really bad version of the future and a bit better, because I think that it won't be the same again. So, but we have to change a lot of things in our business regarding the past years. A lot of people just came into the business without any kind of real engagement or something, and real artistical plans, only for the business and the financial reasons. So maybe it would be really helpful for our business to be a bit more clear and a bit more focusing on the artistical.
You mean to have less competition?
No. The competition, we need the competition, and the artists need the competition. I mean that more professional way, or so somehow. I just try to figure it out. What could be the best way to approach this business in the future?
So, and as I said off camera, I'm sorry when I have to interrupt, but it's really a tight frame.
Yeah, I know.
So you don't want to ask, or I'm keeping, let's say, the fact that you are not optimistic. And I guess because of that, you want to take the time to consider the real alternatives that you are working on.
Okay, I would say I try to be more realistic. Regarding the Reeperbahn Festival, it's really helpful because they plan to keep the festival, but in a smaller way. So I just see regarding the Central Party that it's quite impossible to manage the showcase concerts at our event, because the changeover will be so long, because they will change all of the mics, the stage will clean up and everything. So it's in 4 hours it's possible to have 2 bands.
So you are one of those professionals that have no other options to wait more until you can take a decision, actually, in your position.
Yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Stephen?
Well, I suppose for me personally, the main effect of what's happened has been I launched my new business in January, and I had obviously a trip to go and see you in Athens there. I had The Great Escape, and I had Expo North up in Scotland. So I had loads of places where I was going to network and bump into old friends and tell them what I was up to. So for me personally, my biggest challenge has been letting people know what I'm doing, networking, meeting new people, catching up with old people. That's been my biggest challenge. But I am slowly but surely sort of getting over it. So, obviously adapting to Zoom, using LinkedIn, using Facebook as to connect with you, and just sort of generally just being available for people reaching out to me and me getting in contact with other people. So I think that's been my personal problem and a shift. But with the larger industry and the kind of the problems facing, a lot of my friends are musicians, and just seeing what they're faced with at the moment is just really tough. I think from working with bands for multiple decades and sort of getting a real understanding of what actually generates the cash behind a band, I would say maybe 60 to 70% of income is generated from either directly from live fees, or from performing rights income, or from merchandise on the road, sales on the road.
On the best case scenarios, yeah.
So you're looking at, or if you take the music away from a band and you just look at it as a pure business, every artist is suddenly facing 60 to 70% loss. And I think that's something that we've all got to sort of take on board.
And do you deal with such issues around you? Do you happen to give your advice to persons that are in that?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Obviously, loads of people have been doing the live streaming thing, but that isn't monetized well, or I'm not a fan of it personally. I think there's one thing that's come on the radar here in the UK is an artist called Laura Marling, who has put a show on at the Union Chapel, which is a prestigious, nice venue. And what they've done, she was kind of like the first mover, or her team were the first movers. She had an album ready to go. And they put this show on sale, which was where they managed to speak to the venue and all the crew and the TV crew, and they've got it all sorted so everyone's cool and socially distanced and all that sort of business. And then they put in like a high-end production, and they've sold tickets for it. And they've
You mean you set up this with the whole machine around it, right? The communication, promotion, etc., etc.
And they've moved in, like, it's the company behind it is ATC Management, and they've moved in really swiftly. And it's got, like, I know it's got everyone talking. It's like everyone's kind of looking to see how this works, how the interaction is. But they sold out all the tickets are sold out on usual.
Can you give us a tip on the number?
Yeah, I think it's 1,500 a night. I think it's the same capacity as the venue. What they've done, which I think is quite clever, is limited the tickets, and they've geo-locked it, so you can only buy the UK's night 1 and 2, and I think mainland Europe's night 3, and then I think America's night 4 or 5 or something along those lines.
I see.
So they've made it very exclusive, and I think that's kind of almost like the opposite of what everyone else doing streaming has done. They've made it very available, and they made themselves very available and done it on multiple platforms. But this is like a high-end production, exclusive ticketed event, and I think everyone's looking at this.
But as you're saying, it's a high-end production in general. You're talking about UK market, which you're lucky, and then I guess Commonwealth, etc., etc. And that's a good example. Do you think so? That I will ask you to briefly answer on the question that I'm doing to the guys, which actually, how many, let's say, what is the percentage of such initiatives being held, you think, in UK with a ticket? Is it 50% of the streaming products? Is it 20% of the new live? I mean, what was the ratio? Do you have any idea?
No, as far as I'm aware, this is the first sort of proper ticketed event I've seen, or I'm aware of, or has been gone out on all the usual channels, like NME.
Okay.
And but obviously, Laura Marling is an established artist, and to go back to your original question about grassroots artists and emerging talent, I think that I really genuinely feel for those people that have maybe spent the last couple of years getting their first deals, and they're just launching their campaigns at the Great Escape or Reeperbahn or whatever this year. It must be a nightmare for those guys, because there's been a lot of work put into launching their careers this year, and they're just not going to get a chance. It's just sort of dead for them. And I think that must be really hard for all the management teams or the publishers that sign the deals or the record companies that have invested them to this point.
I see Matt,
who's cut dead must be a nightmare,
I see Matt, who's absolutely agreeing with you. So I'm concerned as well. I mean, you change your job, more or less. That's what you're saying for most of them.
Well, I don't know. If you're in a position to ride it out or to be clever, I went on to this really interesting webinar in the States, and there was one, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but there was one guy that was I found really inspiring, and he was talking about how creatives, when they're pushed up against the wall, when they're constricted, that they come up with interesting new ideas. And he said, I haven't seen anyone really own the internet yet. And I think he said, in the next 3 months of lockdown, we're going to get artists that are going to be coming up with all sorts of interesting uses of technology and all these apps and whatever else. And I think we're just, there'll probably some kid somewhere in a room with a bunch of iPhones and some sort of crazy thing going on that will transform the way we interact with music.
I think, and
I
thank you.
hope so anyway.
Thank you. No. I think you're talking about a keyword that's coming back very often. Maybe survival is a mix of authenticity, skills, innovation, and maybe a bit of luck, the good timing, good. Well, so you're saying something pretty. How do you say that? Objective, apparently, and for a size country as UK, with ex-colonies. So before going actually on the same topic, okay, more or less, with you, Kosti, we're going to the smaller country, to you, Peter, where the connection of this topic we started with Jolt and Steven goes to, okay, is it the same situation on your point of view in Slovenia? I mean, is it dead or not? First question. Second, also for you, not considering that it will be forever, but maybe because you need to have audiovisual streaming, blah, blah, blah capacity. If this is so difficult to happen in a country where you have such a huge market, is there a real alternative for you in Slovenia?
Well, if I can start from the second question, because it's easier to remember it. I think that for us, it's quite funny thing that in Slovenia, the level of digital in music business, it is in very entry level. So I can just tell you, we have no Spotify in Slovenia, and we do not collect money from copyright from YouTube, for example. So that's how you can see where we are actually. So all these topics regarding involving music business in the digital world, we are actually not at the point.
You didn't took the good flight yet.
Yeah. Actually, we are still on the ground, and there are so many obstacles and steps that we have to follow. But I see the situation like a good push for this, because maybe this situation now where everybody really understands what is happening and how everything is closed and there is no opportunity to get physical revenue from, for example, from live performances, then this is the proper moment maybe to start to do more active approach regarding this.
So,
and the first question.
Yeah,
about,
I wanted to connect you back to that because you actually putting it in a nice way. If they were not, let's say, most of the music industry, so-called market of Slovenia, connected already to that flight, okay, and they were not using Spotify or YouTube, is it because they were making a nice living in another way before, or is it not? Or in that case, indeed, how are they going to make it now? Because I guess in Slovenia you are not ready yet to do normal concerts either, right?
I mean, it is opening. So at the moment, we are quite optimistic for the next weeks and next months about that. Because, you have to know that big festival in Slovenia means 10,000 people. This is big. And big venue in Slovenia is 4,000 people. So for us, big is not as big as for you. And sorry, just help me now.
The question is, if they didn't make a living, those artists,
Okay.
promoters, let's say the live music chain, okay, and if they need it, which is not bad at all on one way, on one hand. Now, if they can't, and I guess like everywhere in Europe, the obstacles will remain for quite a few time, So what are they doing? Are they streaming? Are they thinking about ways to monetize? What's going on?
I'm not sure if we are on the level that we actually think about monetization of digital content. Luckily or unluckily, Slovenian cultural scene is mostly public funded. So that is also one of the reasons why we do not develop all this mechanism that can be useful for involving private money.
Sorry, just to be sure, and excuse to interrupt because it's a scoop you're giving us. Maybe we have to change country. You mean artists, promoters, venue managers in general, they are held by the state? And how do you mean that?
They are. I mean, because it's a big difference from other countries because of our size and because of our cultural politic system, which is like, okay, we will fund a lot of culture, but we will not put our attention on possible ways how to involve private money, sponsorship, and that stuff. And because the public money is going slowly down, now we are facing that kind of problems a lot.
You need,
and of course,
you need to start and manage yourself differently.
Exactly, and of course, we have to understand that that doesn't mean that everybody now in Slovenia is paid by the state and is waiting in his home
Okay.
for the future. But so we have problems. Of course, we have a lot of problems. But I just wanted to say something more about Slovenian system and where we are staying in this
But
digital.
so maybe to give us a kind of conclusion at the moment, because I guess there are many bands who play international and they like to go abroad. They have an audience abroad. It might not be in the sizes as you say, but it's, I think, relevant at the moment. So you see no real crisis in the industry at the moment, a crisis generating a need, I mean, to move on and innovate?
As I said, I think it is a very critical moment. It is like everywhere. And I think positively, like this is the moment that we can use for the things that you mentioned, like finding the new ways, trying new approaches. And also, I'm so happy about Athens Music Week going on that way because I think this is some new way of how to deal with it. And we can keep doing that also, even in a case when everything will be all right. I think we can use that ways of communication and collaboration also in the digital.
Thank you for the compliment, but as you know, and it's a good opportunity to give the mic to Kostis and close, let's say, these parts, because I want to ask many things about this from Matt. So to close this, you're not really in the needs, but you will need, and this will be a boost in a way. And there's a problem of size, which I guess for monetization, as we said before in the intro, it's nice to speak about monetization, but even to monetize when you are from Ljubljana or Greece, which is why we do this innovation together, we'll speak about it at the end, well, the size maybe doesn't let you monetize from something like this. Or are there exceptions, even in countries like Greece, Kostis? I mean, what do you think are the assets compared to the market of artists from hip hop maybe, and you will give us probably some examples, to something more local, which would refer on the size maybe with Slovenia, or you can take the questions as you want. The thing is how to deal with social media needs, with content creation, with the follow-up on all those things to get where? Doing all this to just have a YouTube video, or to, you know, how long can you do YouTube videos if you don't make income?
Well, you know, obviously you can't be funding music videos constantly without sort of not just breaking even, but of course making money when you're talking about a record label. So yeah, I mean, YouTube is, for me. I was never really a big fan of YouTube anyway for audio. I think YouTube is only for video, for music videos. So I think platforms like Spotify, you know, Apple Music, Deezer, all these things, they are music platforms, and I'm more into them for pure audio. As far as the monetization goes, yes, I think that if you uh, have millions of plays on YouTube, I think these plays can make you money and they can pay for your music videos. I think it's a sustainable system. Obviously, for us, we have a lot of acts that you know, that rap in Greek, which means our market in a way is smaller. Obviously, our music industry is not as strong as the, you know, the leading industries in the world like America, the UK. So obviously, you know, our reach is not the same.
And we have the turbo folk as Slovenian has, which is the pop local music, which is what, 50% of the market at least?
You know what? I don't know. I think social media. I think you know, streaming services are actually changing that a lot, and you will see. Actually, we are seeing. You know, our local sort of folk market, let's say, as you called it, being very much influenced by, you know, rap and hip hop, and you will see that happening more and more over the next few months. I mean, you know.
So I interrupted you, but you were going to give the good examples. Although those difficulties, etc., only with what? How do they do this, your rappers, or for example, the good examples you want to give us?
Uh,
How do they
well,
manage?
Well, the way that you make money in music is streaming, and it's of course live, as you guys, everyone mentioned. So obviously we've got a problem as well because we haven't got any live shows at the moment, and some of the biggest artists in the industry in our genre in rap music, you know, one of them is called Madclip. He had like more than 100 shows a year. So you know, obviously for big art, I mean, you know, the particular artist that I'm sort of giving you as an example is like #1 in the trends, in the YouTube trends, every time he releases a song, right?
Which means?
Which
approximately?
means millions and millions of views.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, for someone as big as that, it is sustainable to not have, you know, all the lives that he's used to having. Like the live PAs, they're not concert lives, let's say.
And what about Greece then? Or countries like Greece, 10 million inhabitants?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Madclip is someone as an example in Greece.
Wow.
So
I thought it was from UK or something, guys. I have to
no,
admit.
no. He's Greek American. So, but yeah. So it is sustain. My point is that it could be sustainable for really big artists, but again, the smaller artists really heavily rely on you know, on live. So no, to answer your question, you can't fund music videos
Internally.
for smaller artists because you know you won't really, let alone make any profit, you won't make the money back.
So you're as pessimistic as Steven regarding this for all those bands which were trying and...
Well, no, I mean, I think we are entering a new reality. It's a big push, as Peter said. I think that's the word, push. It's like to push everyone to the new situation. So I feel that as the examples that were given before, you know, we need to look at best practices in doing this. So once these big bands, these big artists show us the way, you know, we mentioned geographic lockdown for tickets and that kind of stuff. Once we get the best practice for doing this, I think smaller bands and smaller artists will be able to do it.
The lead.
And the thing that I think is, I've always had this in my mind that for a couple, 2-3 years now, that the way that music is released, you know, via Spotify and all that stuff, and the way I'm sort of following fans following the music, it almost feels like the concept of releasing something is kind of blurred. So I think somehow live and release are sort of kind of converging in a way. So I'm getting a feeling in the future that maybe music will only be released live somehow. So, you know, there's another idea.
It sounded even poetic to me at the end. Really? And I see you, Matt, agreeing most of the time, as long as my angle view is, well, first of all, since it seems you agree with all the opinions that are converging, actually, I'd like to ask you, with this tsunami, with these streams, and because you are one person who continued to work with all the tools you have, it's not something new for you either, right? This situation actually, of course, the results are, but so to try and answer on the topic of our discussion, since you have persons, as you told us at the beginning, from 16 to 74, okay?
Yes, that's right.
One of my questions related to all those answers, how many persons like us are coming to, you know, follow maybe some training on a new need, or are wondering when they are a little bit younger how to do management and how to find, I think to find the proper team to support you, you need to have the skills and competencies to choose for them, right? Which needs to change, you know, you have a relation with a manager, blah, 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 etc. Where I'm heading to is that, okay, we have 10 minutes for the conclusion, so it's good we are with you. What I'm heading to is that all of you have been producing many things, and as you know, on the hit of the production, what you never do is to go back to school to learn something new at that moment. You learn before, you do your campaigns with your new tools, and you organize an event, etc. You're not using new materials, you're not using a new, you know what I mean, right? Well, we had for the Phygital to learn a lot of new things and take in crisis management decisions, because all of this we do, all the invitations, although there are no trips, etc. There's a huge cost that you need to understand if it makes sense to invest it now, or as Jolt was saying, or as Steven, you were all saying, in a few months, etc., etc. In our case, we had to take the decision, are we canceling or are we doing Phygital? Why Phygital? As you know, because we thought it's not digital, it's not stream, it will be both. There will be a live, a Q&A, etc., etc. So let's try this format, which costs a little bit more money than the usual one. So, Matt, how many persons are realizing this? Did the number of persons coming to knock on your door as a consultant, as a person that you know so many artists, etc. What is happening at the moment? Do people realize that if they want to rethink business, if depending on the size of the investment of the product, sorry to be using those professional terms, but are they realizing that they need to rethink business? Because I think we all agree that it's not mandatory to rethink business, but in a way, I mean, the digital era is here to stay. It was here already before. Now it will be pushed. And until life comes back, physical sales, we anyway apparently have to get updated on what's going on. So many platforms, so many apps. I mean, we speak with Matt and Steven on the way to do a webinar. So this school says, Matt, what about you? What do you think?
Well, I've certainly seen an increase in artists coming to the school for kind of tuition. But one quick thing I would say about, we're talking a lot about live revenues and the kind of the drop of, obviously a huge drop in live revenues. There will be a lot of new and emerging artists listening to us thinking, I wasn't making money from live before the pandemic. You know, it's not easy to make money in the live market. So we shouldn't kind of kid ourselves that it's the be all and end all of our industry. It's not. 68% of all live music revenue goes to 1% of touring artists. So how were they monetizing before the pandemic? I think the main way that, one of the main lessons really that we try and instill in the artist students would be that there's a lot of truth in humanizing to monetize. And that comes with live. Obviously, live is humanizing the product, if you like. There's nothing human about streaming, for example. It's listening to music generally in isolation. Streaming and the curation of playlists helps the artist to get listeners, but listeners aren't the revenue source for the artist. That would be fans. So if you think of the listener coming from Spotify, they're just observers of a product. Whereas if you think of the fan, they're kind of participants of the project. So the question of how you monetize and how artists monetize, which is the question they come to us with very often, especially during these times, is a question of how you move someone through the funnel from listener to fan. And as I said, the principle of doing that is to humanize. And actually right now, artists have an amazing opportunity with live streaming and also with this experience, this kind of uniquely shared global experience, to connect in really authentic ways with their listeners and hopefully turn them ultimately into fans. I've seen James Bay teaching guitar on Instagram. When Chris Martin did his live stream, I noticed he talked about panic buying toilet roll. He forgot the lyrics to his own songs. He was kind of personalizing himself for the audience. And it's those people, it's those kinds of artists that are willing to humanize, that are going to get fans rather than passive listeners. So my advice would be to artists, and is to artists, use this time as much as you can to connect, to share your identity, not just your product. I don't just want to see kind of an Instagram feed of covers and here's my music, here's my music. Fans want to know about the person, about how they're feeling. They want some kind of interaction. So when, hopefully if they do that, if they engage with the audience in a really genuine way, when the live market recovers, which it will at some point, the audience will be an audience of fans that are going to buy tickets and buy merchandise. And as I say, let's not kind of kid ourselves that there were loads of artists monetizing live music before. There was a small number monetizing in a big way. So if they use this time to connect, to turn those listeners to fans, then maybe they'll move up in that kind of tier and earn those revenues that they deserve from their music. So hopefully we can see it as something of an opportunity. That's what I hope.
So we are coming to the conclusion. I think we haven't even tackled all the topics, but I see 3 minutes over there. 2, 3, 3? Thank you. So for a difficult, but I think friendly advice with real meaning words, starting from you, Matt, as what you said, do you think at the moment, since I think keywords we heard were like, we need to reshape in any case, we need to rethink in any case, it doesn't mean it has to be rebranding or rethinking the full business strategy, but for sure, you have to think out of the box and maybe take some fresh air and consider what you need to do from now on. It's not only about streaming, it's not only about monetization, it's not only about live, but it's not only about digital. So it's about a multi-skilled, faceted person, which is, I think, anyway, the profile of any professional in general, and that's the difficulty for artists. It needs to be an artist and a professional simultaneously, right? So is it a question of money to be original? That would be my conclusion for me. Matt, what do you think?
I mean, you can do things with money, you can do things without money. I think it's an issue of creativity. But also, I mean, the fact that an artist has to be multifaceted and multi-talented isn't anything new. Artists, it's no longer enough to be an amazing artist. You have to be an amazing social media strategist, an amazing marketeer, an amazing publicist. So that's always been the case, but maybe it's kind of heightened now. But yes, you can also outsource some of those things, and you can do that online. Platforms, you know, whether it's platforms for music creation like Sound Better, or platforms with graphic designers like Fiverr, whatever they are, you can do that. But often I've seen artists want to keep control as much as possible, which I quite admire.
Cut. Thank you. Peter, what do you think? Is it about money? Is it about authenticity?
No, I agree. I think music is mostly social thing. That's why I think that music performance will never die, definitely. It's not a question about money. Well, somehow it is a question of money, because it is a question on which level do you want to go. For example, if you're from Slovenia and you want to be universal subcontracted guy with presentation in UK, then you will need a lot of money. In case that you are smart, then you can do a lot of things DIY, then you can somehow find your track to some kind of success.
You can make a living
I think it's not about money.
You can make a living even if Slovenia from that.
Yeah.
Stephen, is it about money?
I think it's about creativity and innovation. I think that you know, just these tools that everyone has, the laptops, the phones, and all this amazing stuff with the internet. I just think it's coming up with ways of harnessing that, and as to reiterate what Matt says, to be very human using it, but also to connect and to create. Yeah, and that doesn't need money.
Okay, Mr. President, Zsolt?
So it's not a question of money, I'm pretty sure. I think that the artist and management has to improve how to take care of their channels, the YouTube channels, the Spotify channels, and to learn new platforms like Twitch, and to take care of their audience. That's the question of the future. How could they keep these people to be interested more without the live events? And that's what we do with what we are doing in our school, to teach these people to build a really sexy YouTube channel, or just have a really nice communication with your audience. And you know, that's the main thing, and it's for free. So,
and in the worst case scenario, to learn it, because when it will go back physically, you will generate even more income by using all these, you know, you see Kostas once, twice, three, and then you see that he's playing live near you, so you finally go and see him. So it won't be a waste. Thank you, Zsolt. Kostis, you have
Thank you.
the last question again. Money, not money, authenticity?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've got a bad artist, a bad product, and all the money in the world, you know, okay, maybe you'll be able to sell this artist, but you know that you'll deep inside you, you'll know that you've just forced a situation. But yeah, and you haven't done anything good for music in a sense. But yeah, no, obviously it's creativity. I agree with everybody, absolutely. Money helps a lot, obviously. Um, but what I'd like to say is that I think all the successful artists that I know from this country, they all share the fact that they're actual polymaths. So you know, they will obviously do social media. They will write the music and produce the music themselves. They will hack. They will learn about YouTube algorithms. And how to sort of ride them. They will learn about you know, how to make their Spotify you know, generate more streaming. So yeah, definitely going back to what you said before, I think that an artist, it's not a new thing, but an artist has to be able to do all these things.
Perfect timing, and I think it's the perfect conclusion. So back to school for any one of us anyway, in a way, right? And thank you for being here, all of you. We have to answer some Q&As now. So, the voice is loud. Back on the live Q&A here today. So we have Dad Kostis with his daughter. Is it? She's gone. She's gone. We have so Kostis from Athens. We have Mr. President from the industry hail in Hungary, Mr. Iceman Zsolt Jeges, and we have Stephen Farris with us from UK. Hello, Stephen. And Peter, which we tried to do, resolve a sound problem, but just show that you hear, make some noise. Yes, you are. Hopefully we'll find a way. So a question, this was recorded approximately 2 weeks ago, and we are now here understanding that this pandemic will last. And one question from Christian here, 25, he's a sound engineer. He's asking, what do you think is more important, the state of mind or the tools regarding innovation and support and what to do with COVID? And this first question, I'd like to do it to Zsolt Jeges.
Oh, the state of mind is more important than the tools, I think.
Stephen?
Yeah, having a state of mind, obviously a lot of people are talking about mental health at the moment. So having a positive state of mind and doing other things other than staring at screens is a good thing to do. Getting out into nature and getting some exercise for some perspective is something that I personally has helped me a lot. And then just trying to remain positive and trying to connect with people and trying to think of different solutions to the strange situation we all find ourselves in.
What about you, Konstantinos?
Yeah, I mean, state of mind is always important in anything you do. It's having being sort of focused and positive. Definitely helps in anything. So yeah, why not? But obviously, we're lucky to have some of the tools, and as I was saying when we recorded this originally, we'll learn from it, and we'll learn how to sort of best use these tools that we have to help us be even in a situation like this, in a lockdown or in a pandemic.
As unfortunately the Q&As are very short, but as everyone knows by now, everyone is free to send the questions, and I will forward them to each of you. I guess the last question, because I think, okay, we have 2 minutes. The last question to each of you. You said some things cruel, let's say, especially you, Stephen, and Matt, if I recall properly, which cannot be with us today, Matt Erickton, regarding the small the small number of projects, let's call them rising talents in general, I think young entrepreneurs, we can also say in the music industry, what should they do when they're not sure about the rebranding? Objectivity, education, how many skills, and how should you ask the people to give you remarks and critics to be sure you're in the good path? Iceman, 1 minute, 30 seconds each actually, sorry.
Okay, first, if some artist is not confident enough, just sell the instrument. And to be more precise, that they have to learn a lot of things. They have to be more clear with their rights and with the digital tools, with the platforms, how to use it, how to get more audience digitally. And yeah, they have to focus on the live events as well, because that's the most important part of our business. But to have the right background, they have to learn a lot.
Konstantinos, how would you suggest them to do that? I don't see you here. We have 15 seconds for you and 15 for Steven.
Well, you know, I mean, platforms like Instagram had sort of tutorials, you know, or they offered tutorials during this period to learn how to maximize business. So I think simple things like that would definitely help an artist, you know, as any business, in fact.
So you suggest one way is to do it alone and to be curious. And you, Steven, another point to end up this suggestion.
Yeah, I just think like this is unprecedented time that people have got, and if you're a creative, then you'll use the tools available to get you to where you want to go. So I think just making the most of the time to write, to create, to connect.
Well, let's continue on the chat. Peter, we salute you from here. People can see you. Sorry for this bug. We continue with the small meet and greet.
My name is Bruno Steamer. I'm from Portugal. Now I'm here recording this video in Porto, in the center of Porto. In my back, I have a very iconic building, this Casa de Música, House of Music in Portugal, in Porto. I work there too. And I study percussion. I'm a percussionist. I teach percussion. I work a lot with kids and families, and that's why I'm here too. So I'm very engaged with this content for families, for young audiences. So I'm really happy to be here in a digital edition. Okay, I'm here because I applied to jump in 2019 for this year. My project is focused on families, content for families and children. My project it's about gathering. So my idea is focused on promoting, expanding and recognizing the creators of artist content for families and young audiences. The aim is to create a shared database about these creators and creations from all over Europe that will be easily accessible to programmers at the festivals, programmers, house of music, cultural in general, and manage some of these projects or artists. This is my Wittentum. The name of my idea is Wittum for Kids, from Wittentum, and is focused on promoting, expanding, and recognizing the creators of artist content for families and young audiences. If Wittentum have competitors, so probably yes, because I don't know everything. What I know that is a very starting market because everywhere the families, the kids are being more interested on arts, on music, and as well the festivals are giving new opportunities to these content creators. So it's quite new, but yeah, let's see. And we want to get with these creators. So it's our aim to go further with this content. Okay, it's we have. I would like to share with you my journey with Jump to start, which starts in the first edition in when I applied in 2018 with a project idea that was not chosen. Yeah, it's life. Happens a lot. But I did not give up, and I continued to follow the progress of the JAM program. And a year later, in 2019, I apply again. This time with a different idea. I was chosen. So yeah, it can happen. My suggestion to you, yeah, follow this program. If you have an idea, it's so easy to apply. Put your idea on text, and yeah, see what Jump can do for you. Now I'm looking for people that it's engaged with this, with content for families and content for kids, children. So if you are an artist, I would love to know about you. I would to receive an email from you. Oh, I have this, I do this. If you are a programmer, yeah, if I can receive your contact too, it would be amazing, because I can present you in a few months ago what I gathering, what we have to show you about these contents and these creators. I'm here to answer to any questions in the live sessions. Thank you.
Hello, Bruno. This is
Hello.
Athens, and we are so sorry to not be close to you. Anyway, from here, one of the questions was if you could briefly tell us some of the best tools of the platform that makes the project so special. And this is from Natasha Macroianelli in Athens.
Okay, should I reply now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this we are working, but we wanna create an easy platform that when we go there, we can make some choices that are what we have. If I have a festival for 100 people, maybe my budget is this, and my festival is in, I don't know, in the middle, in Spain, in North. So I want to have festivals for, I want to have a concert with just 2 musicians, so I can put there 2 musicians, to just maximum 3 people traveling, blah, 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 blah. And with that picks, like booking, with all that things, helping the shoes, showing the options that fit to my needs. So this is one of the things that I hope help helping the people that are trying to find content for kids and families.
Okay.
And yeah,
okay.
one.
Yeah, because you still have 2.5 minutes more or less.
Okay.
There's a question from George Perrault, maybe you know him because he knows you, regarding the dimension of your goals. Is this at first level, your service is from A to Z? I mean, you find the persons, the artists, the parents, the kids, the festivals. Are you organizing it as well? And are you going to do this abroad? These are the questions for your project.
I don't know if I understood very well.
The second part was if you feel like going globally with the project, if you are thinking to do it in Portugal only. And the first part was, sorry to make it to you and then I leave you speak totally. And the first part is if you provide 360, let's say, services as a promoter, if you book the festival, if you see what I mean?
So the initial idea is growing, and now it's bigger than the initial. And the first answer, yes, the idea is being European, because we apply. I'm here by Jump and this European project. And of course, is European, but I think that could be worldwide because now the world is a small village. So yes, but of course we will start like epicenter in Portugal, of course, and try to growing. About the second question, yes, we are thinking that we can put another service in this platform. So not just showing and gathering projects, but give some service that representing some artists and to probably make the management or the booking of the artists that wanted to work with us. We are putting that on the table.
Thank you. Well, time flies when you're in the air. I hope Bruno managed to answer some questions. And of course, I invite you to go on Jump Music Market to find all the details to contact. Thank you, Bruno. Success.
Thank you very
from
much.
Athens, from all of us here. And we continue with Athens Phygital edition.
Athens Music Week Phygital Edition, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η μουσική εβδομάδα της Αθήνας ενώνει τον φυσικό με τον ψηφιακό κόσμο. Μια διεθνής μουσική συνάντηση με ομιλίες, παρουσιάσεις, webinars και showcase συναυλίες από όλη την Ευρώπη. 50 εκπρόσωποι της μουσικής βιομηχανίας, 28 καλλιτέχνες, 17 χώρες, 6 μέρες. Athens Music Week, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η καρδιά της μουσικής είναι εδώ. Συνδιοργάνωση Τεχνόπολη Δήμου Αθηναίων μέσω events.
Hello, everyone.
We have some questions for you guys. We have a lot of comment on Facebook saying to us that you are amazing, so we want to say that to you. And we have a first question. This is Mario from Prague. He's a musician. And he says this: how does indie scene survive nowadays in Greece? Any advice for young artists that want to involve from your experience?
I don't know how the scene how does the scene survive nowadays with the pandemic. But there's a bunch of bands emerging every year from Greece, and especially from Athens, but in all parts of the country as well. There's no real advice. If you like music and you like playing with other people in a band, just go ahead and do so. Maybe, probably good things might happen. Surely you'll have fun. Okay. That's the main advice.
Thank you for this. And then this is Maria from Athens. She loves your lyrics and she wants to ask what really inspires your lyrics and your music.
The lyrics are mostly written by Yannis. He's our lead singer and composer and guitar player. And it's mainly stuff that inspired him and us as well. Mostly simple stuff, like everyday difficulties that someone might have. I don't know, stuff that we come across here in Athens, mainly in Greece. Stuff that we see our friends that are going through, our families, mainly stuff that we come across like in a regular basis here.
That's nice. Thank you for sharing. And one last question. This is Natalie from Thessaloniki. Since you live in Greece and you've been in a lot of tours, do you believe that the place that you live can be an obstacle for going global?
Okay, an obstacle, maybe you have to drive a little bit further in order to get to Germany and Austria and countries that maybe music is like music of this genre in particular maybe is more popular. But I've seen during this past decade that I've been involved with music professionally. I've seen numerous bands going out of the borders, having an audience outside of Greece, selling merch, really surviving through just playing music. So I don't think I definitely don't think it should be an obstacle, but I think that we might be getting there to just erase it as like a thing. That Greece is like something that prevents artists from going abroad.
So you're not thinking about moving? You'll stick around?
No.
Okay.
For now.
Thank you very much for this. No more questions for now. Hopefully we'll see you live and we see you around. Bye-bye.
Yeah, hope so too. Bye.
So hello from Athens Music Week here. I'm very glad to be here and have the privilege of hosting this panel with very interesting people. Our topic is music innovation, which is a two-term topic. Music and innovation can be seen together as well as separately. Regarding our industry, the music industry, music is the most necessary ingredient in order for all of us to exist. So the way I see things, we need innovation both inside and outside music. Most of the people, including music industry professionals, think that music innovation is a one-term topic. And it's all about gadgets, technology, applications, and things like that to facilitate the expand and the communication of music. What we are here to discuss, hopefully, is the way innovation can exist inside music and the way music creators, producers, promoters, or labels, or music stores, anyone, can act innovatively in difficult times like the ones we are experiencing and are causing us being apart and discussing through TV screens and mics and all that. In other case, we will be together all around here. Sunny Greece, hopefully. So let's go to our panel. I would like to start introducing the members to our panel with the help of George, of course. And so let's start from, I don't know, from Dino.
Let's start from the south.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, ciao to all of you. I'm really glad to be here virtually, but also physically, because we don't have to forget that even if everything is going to be connected online, we're still alive. And that's the most important thing. What I do here in Italy, I'm directing the Music Innovation Hub, which is a brand new company. It's a startup working on innovation in both of the sense that you were mentioned before. Innovation is not just technology, but is also the way in which the music industry think about themselves. So innovation is also in the social attitude that music must keep and have, and also in the way in which people get connected through the music. So what we are experiencing now is a resilience form of the music in front of the COVID pandemic. I think from certain point of view is a complete disaster. From other point of view is the way in which we can think that music cannot be stopped and that we have to adapt to situation just to go on in different ways.
I'm interrupting you, my dear Dino. It was just to say all the nice hats you have. So can you also maybe tell us about the other hats you have with music and line check?
Yeah, actually what we do with the Music Innovation Hub is working on main programs. One of the programs that you probably know because some of you were invited and were there is Line Check. Line Check is the main music conference actually in Italy, or let me say the most international thing happening, very connected with the other music conferences around Europe through the program Jump, for example, and through other programs that we are managing, like Key Change, the one on gender equality, and the third one that we are launching this year, which is going to call a Creative Shift, which is a dialogue between different music industry, not music, but cultural and creative industries, where music is one of these. What we also do, we work on music education with a program called Chorus. We also work on a program of innovation in events, which is called Pogo. And we also manage a space which is called Music Rooms, where there is a very nice studio developed for the VR experiences. So it's very well connected with the spatial sound, and that's it. And last but not least, we have an incubator program for tech startups and for artists as well. So what we are trying to do is a complete coverage of the whole aspect of the music industry and trying to connect the public institutions, so policy making, and the private sector, as we are a social enterprise, and we try to stay in the between. trying to push the Italian music industry in a different direction through the future, let me say.
Do you sleep at all?
Do you sleep at all?
Sometimes.
Okay. Let's move on to Andras.
Let's go northern Hungary, Budapest.
Northern Hungary, Budapest. Hello, good day all, ladies and gentlemen. My name is András. I'm a massive music fetishist. I live with music all along my life so far. I'm a musician and I'm using creativity and creation in music for balancing my own self, especially these days. However, I'm working in the digital field of the music industry since kind of it started. But I had various jobs and different kind of activities related to the creative industry, media industry, and compared to the environment that I'm working in and facing lots of artists and labels, I'm kind of working in a future for them. I'm trying to help them to be more creative, thinking out of the box, be more innovative. I'm currently working as a partner for Google Hungary and the YouTube music team, helping artists and labels and all the actors in the music industry using the audiovisual content and the YouTube platform for monetization, rights management, for communicating with content. And I'm a part of proudly part of a really, really nice group of people, totally indie guys. It's a part of the so-called State 51 music group. The label part called the State 51 Conspiracy is also an aggregator and a digital distributor where I manage a YouTube support team from Budapest for around 700-800 independent labels from all around the world. The State 51 Music Group is actually kind of integrated group of different businesses, established businesses that can kind of always combining technology, creativity, innovation, and a really deep music knowledge and experience. I'm surrounded by really serious people and from the industry, and I'm really proud. And what else? That's it. And I'm really proud to be here and hopefully sharing something really interesting and innovative and inspiring with Dino and Michal.
Where do you bring us? Shall we go to Poland or to Greece?
I think we go to Poland.
So Krakow music scene, you have the mic.
Hi, I'm Michal. Thank you very much for inviting me here. And what we do here in Krakow is, like George said, it's called Krakow Music Scene. It started, oh my God, it started 9 years ago. And we started doing concerts. That was the beginning. But since then, we pretty much did everything there is to do with music. We run a website, we recorded some videos, and for YouTube channel, we released albums, had a radio program in a local radio. We released CDs, DVDs, whatnot. Lots of stuff, and we did it all in a DIY fashion. So we didn't have any government support or municipal support. But after a while, a festival and a conference emerged from that called Tak Brzmi Miasto, which I know is unpronounceable for non-Polish people. It means "hear the city," or this is how the city sounds.
Tak Brzmi Miasto.
You've been practicing for a long time, George. I know that. And it meant to be for local bands, for Krakow-based bands, but it developed since 2014 or 2013 when the first edition was organized. It developed in a sort of a, at least partially international program. So now we have a small festival and a conference held yearly. And incubator program as well, which is held throughout the year. So it's not like one event, but it's a course of different activities, educational and meant for establishing and developing local music communities, whatever that means. And it's very ironic, I think, that I've been invited here to talk about innovation in music, because I would normally think of myself as a very conservative person regarding music. You know, maybe you can tell it by the looks of me, but I'm pretty much rooted in the 70s and you know, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, whatever. And I have a very big problem with new music. And I'm the youngest of here, so this is even more ironic. But at the same time, when you think of it, we did start a thing that hasn't been done before in Poland. We did start at the root level. We did start our own conference and our own festival, and first of all, the incubator project. So it's actually the only incubator in Poland. Now we've been running it for 2 years, and there's 3 more years to come for sure. And it's the first incubator project for musicians, artists, and managers, and it's the only one. And yeah, it started from a bunch of musicians. I mean, myself and my friends. So we just musicians, and we did all that. So that's pretty innovative, I think.
Thank you, Mikhailovic.
Thank you. So now we are in Greece.
So we're in Greece.
It's your turn, George.
But you didn't present yourself well as well, I think.
Yeah,
so.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, as for everyone here, I have many hats. The longest one is as all of us here, I think, with the love of music. At the moment, I was just coming in Greece, so for me, music and extraversion, let's say, I wanted to use music, you know, to promote the country as well. So I created that non-for-profit organization, Meso Events. Created the idea of making a network to promote grassroots artists and to do the system of live events, meaning to have a famous artist but unknown artists supporting him together. That's the Music Day concept we did in Greece. Today it's 55 cities. We launched many other things, as all of us, some successful, some not. Then we had the crisis, and with the regeneration process, we created the Athens Music Week. And one of the nicest, let's say, result of all these are some European projects, in which with Dino, for example, we are partners in the JUMP European Music Market Accelerator. Andras is there as a tutor. And in another project, which is the main hat today in this topic, it's the brand new European project based as a sustainable business plan, though, called HEMI. Goes for a hub for the exchange of music innovation. And in that one, Michal is a partner as a company. And one company where Andras is working is also a partner, because HEMI, the idea, is a bit of what every guest has said today, because we're getting older. Wiser is the word, I think, not older.
Or both.
Both, anyway.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, our main goal, let's say, with HEMI is to connect the music ecosystem in a way, okay? But to be more, let's say, less arrogant, we have made a model as a small cluster. And the idea was not to make a horizontal project, but to make a project where music business schools, large-scale festivals, small-scale festivals from big countries, small countries, but only from Eastern Europe. It's from Estonia to Greece, from Slovenia to North Macedonia. And partners include Exit Foundation, everybody knows Exit, Krakow Music Scene, big institutional public bodies, PPPs actually, public-private, like Technopolis here in Athens, or Krakowskie Biuro Festiwalowe in Poland, or Hajnem Rock Skuli. Guys, okay, that's for my foreign pronunciation. And the idea, yes, is, as everyone does, to try and create a market within the market, first of all, to remind the musicians that it's not only about composition and creativity, but about education. all of us, maybe our generation, bought so many vinyls or CDs. You know, we were spending all the money to listen to things. And then today's needs are multi-skilled. You need to have cross-sectoral, as they call it, competencies, and we're trying to help everyone on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in a way or another, innovation is something that keeps us sleepless. We are a bunch of sleepless people here, trying to figure this out. So let's start with some questions, and feel free to respond to a question, even if it's not addressed to you directly. But in order to start the conversation, let's start with Dino. Dino, in your opinion, which core innovation technology had the biggest impact in music creation over the last years?
Yeah, what we are studying now actually is the impact that innovation had in the past, for sure, in the recording music industry and in the publishing music industry. Let me call it distribution, but it's not only that, because that affected also the creative part of the work of the artist. Because if you want to be known on social media, you need to change the way in which you work. You need to change the way in which you think about your product, and you definitely need to change the way in which you communicate it. So we started studying that because it's very important to say that innovation in terms of technology impacted a lot on that, but didn't impact at all in the live music industry. So everybody's talking about doing the streaming things, and the streaming is actually a tool that everybody is using in a way which is not exactly the way in which it has to be used. Because the same kind of the results that the recording industry had after 10 years fighting against the music technologies company to keep their own business the way in which it was in the hand of 90s, the same is happening now, but losing from the artist point of view, from the company working on the live industry. They are losing the main and the focus point of it. What we are saying now is that we really need to get into a new phase, thinking about the music industry as based on 4 different pillars. One is, of course, the publishing. The other one is the recording industry. The third one is the live industry. Then you have the music tech industry. And music tech is not just a tool. It's not just an instrument. It's not just something that you can use to produce and to sell the music as it used to be produced and sold. It's something different. If you consider the size and the money that these companies at a high level, but also medium and small level, do from all the services that they provide, you must consider that half of the total income of the industry, globally speaking, is based on the music technologies. So in sense of technology innovation, the first thing to think about is to change the way in which we consider the industry as it is. Music tech is not just something new and fresh happening and everybody is excited about that, but it's really something we have to deal with. It is really something that we need to keep inside the industry, understanding the opportunity that technology can give to all of us, but also the way in which to manage it. If we still see so much streamed contents with no values, and with no values I mean no monetization, no cost for the audience, there is not going to be any kind of value for the artist, which is the main and most important part of the value chain, and for the people who work on the side of the artist to manage their rights and to manage the artist as it is. So the most important thing is we need to think that everything is related with, let me say, the relevance of intellectual property at the moment, which is the center And we need to start thinking, even in the live industry, or something which I consider natively digital. We need to think about how to make this being, let me say, profitable is a word that in our industry nobody wants really to say because it's too dirty. But from other sides, there is no other way to keep safe the work that artists and the industry does. So we really need to start thinking in a way, and we need to keep it. Nowadays, we have technology to protect the intellectual properties rights. There are tools to manage it. And also there is a huge and very, let me say, exciting challenge, how to make the live industry go digital. It's not just a streaming thing, it's more general question, which is really, really interesting. And I'll tell you more about that in the second round because I don't want to speak for so long.
Can I then re-ask the question to Andras so that you can maybe do the next one to Michal? Because Dino was kind enough to not answer on one particular example, but he, I think correctly also on my end, said that it's a group of things. But because we know you work in a very specific, let's say, circle of platforms, maybe to re-ask the question, one of the most particular, let's say, inventions that changed something recently?
Wow. So I have to be the person to answer this question. Cool. I mean, over the last years, just give me this time frame, because what I think is that
20 is like yesterday, no?
No, okay. The biggest,
no, 10 years. 10 years.
The biggest thing that actually put the whole industry, especially the recording industry, into a really, really challenging situation was the peer-to-peer technology, P2P, file sharing, that's for sure, as a technology. And it also affects music creation big time, I think. Also the MP3 format. From my perspective, as I'm working on YouTube, the YouTube Content ID is something that's really, really innovative and something that helps actually right holders somehow manage their rights and control their rights on online usages. Yeah, those are, from my perspective, I think. But it's like, just referring back to Dino, what's really happening right now with us and how we are somehow forced to use technologies and applications and solutions in order to save at least what we can or what we have from a perspective of musician or a perspective of a label. Yeah, live streaming now. So everyone is now somehow forced to a little bit bridging the digital gap and somehow a little bit be more innovative with their own activities and life. From my perspective, it's a kind of, I wouldn't like to be impolite. And as I'm working in a digital field, it was really strange for us as well. But I'm working as a digital nomad for almost 10 years. So I haven't done and I haven't changed really anything that I've done before. Probably I was, closed down in my own place and own flat, a little bit more intensively, but I've kind of done the same and doing the business what I do and managing rights of some recordings and intellectual property on a tech platform, which has a huge power right now. And as tech platforms have somehow shifting this power shifting to tech platforms is happening big time. Myself, I can tell that it was strange to work from home and trying to organize people from home and trying to follow the guidelines and do what we can and take care about security and whatever. But our business kind of functioned and I haven't even seen lots of decline. Why my heart is bleeding for everyone from the live industry and musicians and musician friends can't play live, can't do conferences, etc., etc. And here we are, then in the middle of this, our own digital literacy somehow, let's say, increased, I would say, collectively. Myself, from my perspective, practically preaching about digital content and music-related digital content. It's like a massive amount of live streams. All my favorite bands and artists I could see playing on piano with their bathrobe or whatever from home into Spain right album, all of them. Such amounts of really, really creative and really nice content, digital online music-related content that sadly wasn't monetized, as Dino also mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, but
it's a really strange days. What's happening? But from my perspective and what I experienced so far in the last 2 months, I had a really mixed kind of feelings. I can be happy as sorry.
But I am still wondering, you know, and how about creation itself? We are not talking about creation, music creation, you know, raw music creation. Where is innovation in that? How
do you mean if during creation, except for the creative part, you have to think about the creative tools that will help your creative part?
Yes.
Or, okay.
That for sure, but I'm not referring to the innovative thinking of a creation, which is something like it never ends, but okay, creating has also some patterns, but I'm wondering about after the idea of creation, how to actually put things together. Is there anything innovative, or artists are still doing it the same way?
You mean considering, for example, when you ask them what genre do you sound like? No one, because I'm the only one in this.
Yes.
I mean, not to be mean and evil.
No.
But that's, I mean, Dino said it, you mentioned it. It's a two-topic discussion.
Yes.
What I have in my head is innovation is in everything, either as a musician, because you, as a musician, are a manager of yourself, and you need to define with the musicians, the artists, the instrument players, the partners, the managers, etc., etc. For me, that would be innovation. But I think your question would be nice to go to Michal, maybe to get his point of view.
Yes,
on
and because you said before that you are a bit old-fashioned, but I am sure you understand what I'm asking. Okay, innovation can enter everywhere, but are there any barriers, and can be also as an obstacle for artists? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to start from the same question that you asked before, like what has changed over the years. How I see it is that nothing changed and everything changed at the same time. Nothing changed because it's still music, and we are still doing sort of similar things. Like you said, we're creating music. But for me, maybe because I developed over the years, that's why I see the change. The way I perceive music in my life has changed. And like you said, George, nowadays I think of not only about creating music, but also about managing music. Like when I'm creating a song, when I'm writing a song, I'm already thinking about where this song is supposed to go, to which radio, to what audience, and how to promote it, what band should play it, and stuff like that. And this is a big change in thinking for musicians, I think, because musicians, I'm saying that from my experience, are a very conservative bunch. They're like getting attached to old ideas that worked in the 70s, 90s, and basically 20 years ago. We can see it when new technology. Well, I'm serious. Maybe it concerns all the society, but I'm focusing on musicians because this is the group that I have the most contact with. And when new things arrive, not many musicians eagerly go and use the new things and like new technologies or new ideas. And there's really lots of musicians that are stuck with this thinking that was working 20 or 30 years ago, but it isn't working now. The whole paradigm changed slowly, but it has changed over the years. Nowadays, we have lots of music, lots of artists. There's really big supply of artists, and you have to change your ways that you function on the market. And you asked if the new technologies of innovations are obstacle, or can they be an obstacle for musicians? Yeah, they can, I think, because this is that's why I said you have to change your ways that you function in the market, and that includes learning how to deal with all the technology, with all the social media, with all recording process, all the formalities of authors' rights, laws, and stuff like that. It basically the modern music market requires you to be all-encompassing person, that you can no longer deal with music only, but you have to deal with technology, with laws, with everything there is there, because you don't have a bunch of managers that can do that for you. You're pretty much alone at the beginning, perhaps, if you're lucky, and if you become a big star, then you have a bunch of managers, but probably you won't be a big star because there's so many musicians there, and yet you have to make living somehow. So I think you said it already, that you have to be all around person. You have to learn how to deal with all this stuff and how to adapt. There's this musicians union group on Facebook that there's quite a few conservative musicians there who whenever any new change arrive, for example this whole coronavirus change, because it changed our lives, and they very much want to stick to the old, and perhaps it is about encompassing the new. I mean, like openness for new things. Okay, you can no longer play live events perhaps now, so what to do now, how to react to it. Yeah, and this is, I think that is the biggest change, that the changes are much faster than they used to be. You can adapt to what is happening now, but in a year's time the situation can be totally different. So the adaptation is I think that's what I was getting at. Adaptation is the word here.
I also think adaptation is a very key word here in our conversation. As I was coming here today, I was served in a cafe by a girl named Vera. She had her name on, and I remember the song of Pink Floyd. I don't know if you're familiar.
Vera.
Yes, that song.
Vera. What has become of you?
So listen, remember when we had the cassettes of 60-minute duration.
Michal doesn't.
Yes, probably you don't understand that, but when we
no, I still have cassettes.
Okay.
Of course, I know what it is.
Sorry, just a small parenthesis. Don't lose what you want to say. I laughed before because he said, "Yeah, in the 70s, 20 years ago," which was why I said thank you, because it's not 20 years ago. But
it
anyway,
seemed like 20 years. But listen,
it's not 20 years ago.
What I was thinking was, when we were creating mixtapes, we used to use songs like these of 1.5 minutes in order to fill the cassette. And now, as I'm learning, and because I'm trying also to keep up with things, because in the stats show that the YouTube usage or the streaming usage only goes to the first chorus or to the first refrain. The creators are starting to make shorter songs. This is something that technology forced the creators to do. So in a way, it is innovative, but on the other hand, I think traditions enters and does what Michal said. Creators are fighting against these change because I don't know why. Perhaps it's better to have tracks of 1 minute and 30 seconds, or it's not. But in that aspect, you understand that there is nothing it has nothing to do what the creator wants, but it's something that he does in order to serve the innovative environment that he's into.
Well, shall we go back to Dino maybe and ask this?
Yes.
I'd like to answer, as I'm a guest, I forgot it, and for once I'm allowed to speak a little bit more. I wanted to say to Dino that my point of view would be, okay, I still remember when people were saying that the CD is dead, vinyl is dead, but I remember musicians producing special, not pop mainstream consumable music. Not that it's bad, but I'm speaking about, you know, other category. I remember that even in small countries like Greece, if it's a nice product, people will still go and buy a CD to offer it, right? So it's a question of marketing, decision. I mean, if you want to adapt with a 1.5 minutes on YouTube, you're free. If you don't, that's where the innovation goes. Is innovation to do something new, to come back to something old? I mean, you do Futurissima and you do so many things, Dino. You have a point of view on this?
Yeah, actually what I think is that technology always changed the way in which music was produced. Technology invented the music industry. Without recording, we could never had like a distribution of vinyls. Without radio, we could never listen to the music, and so on. What we have to think about is that the last big thing happening in the live music industry was when Beatles started using amplified speakers on the stage. And that happened in the 1960s. So it's like, yeah,
10 years ago, 10 years ago.
Years that nothing really serious happened. You know, a lot of promoters and producers of live events are working with augmented reality. Everybody is trying to force to virtual reality. Somebody is working on spatial sounds and whatever, but actually, who cares about that? I mean, nobody really liked or embraced that. What I think is that technology now is there, and we need to make some switch to technology. Then I don't care, and I personally don't like to be like in a total digital environment, for example, but children's like, and the market like. So if you start thinking in a native digital way, and probably artists which are raising now as artists can do that much more than I personally can do, you can think in a way which is different. You know, Fortnite is hosting concerts. We do like that, maybe not, but neither my father liked drum and bass when I used to play drum and bass in a club. So everything is evolution from different point of view. Technologically speaking, you cannot stop the changing on the way in which people use and produce the music, but has to be something natural, something organic. You cannot push that.
Yes,
until
it's very interesting what you're saying in the context of the current situation with the virus, because I'm referring I'm referring my own experience to what you're saying, and the thought that appeared in my mind is that even though the technology progresses pretty fast, we as humans are still behind technology, because we've been able to organize video or live streamings for the past 15 years. We've been able to do that for the DIY. I mean, I did it myself like 5 years ago, and it was quite well produced show, and nobody did it. I mean, somebody did it, but it wasn't a mainstream thing. And nowadays it's becoming mainstream because we have to do it. But will we need the live shows anymore when everything goes back to normal, if it does at all. And I don't know, I caught myself thinking that I'm pretty comfortable at home, and I don't really want to play 100 shows a year, which I used to do, or at least I used to want to do it. And nowadays I'm thinking like, can I produce a really good live stream instead of playing a live show? And this is kind of scary because, I'm
doing this because we have, it's a TV show now. We have production says, you have 5 minutes, and then it's the president that has to speak on the news.
Time for the advertisement.
Just joking, but 15 minutes have already passed, apparently. Crazy. I know what was a common effort. Maybe we need to do this more often. But one of the main topic discussion was actually mindset or question of tools, innovation. Can you maybe try to conclude, each of you, in 1 minute?
May I finish? May
Yes.
I finish? Because...
how much time do we have? 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes.
What Michael says is exactly the point. We don't have to think that we are going to do like the live show online. We need to think in a different way. We have to think native digitally. So we have to think different format that can work online. And of course, we need to let the people go to there, pay for that, validate time by time, artist by artist. And I'm sure that in a few years, we are going to have a different way of making this wonderful way of art and expression that is music. We are going to see something new happening. It's not just bringing the live show, putting some cameras, and you go stream and people pay for that. It's something that we have considered totally different.
Yes, but what I'm wondering is, even though a combination might exist or something like ways to be at the concert without actually being there with, I don't know, VR or things like that, wasn't music always something that brought us together?
Well, I think every one of us is pretty much say the same. Some of you are focusing on the main problem now. The topic is in general, I think, the view, because I would like to give an example. All of us have pretty good sound speakers, headphones, right? Mm-hmm. And when I listen at the moment, I listen to the radio because finally in Greece I can have extra gigabytes on my phone and I don't pay a fortune. So I'm listening a French radio all the time with a kind of podcast. Mm-hmm. And the sound is so marvelous. When I listen to the radio, I see the song, I see the Spotify link, the YouTube link, everything.
The lyrics.
Which one has played 2 hours before. So the question back for me would be, because we have to give the mic to everyone, innovation, not only about live streaming or not, but as Dino and Michal said, regarding the 1.5 minute song or not. Innovation in general, wherever you are an artist, you are a manager, you are a guru tech or whatever, is at the moment with the cost that such a production generates, with the need of monetization that everybody agrees on. At the end of the day, is it just a question of mindset and then skills? How would you suggest, as all of you are doing it in a way educationally, what would you say that innovation is at the end of the day?
So let's hear Andras, I don't know.
This is a really complex question. I try to use 1 single minute and tell everything what I want to tell and relate it to this subject and what Dino said and Michal said. Okay. 3 minutes, cool. Yes, we always been driven by technology and technology and the early adopters. Look at us right now. We are doing something that we haven't done before and never been in such Phygital, how you call it, physical and digital something, and we are doing this like we always done this before. And yes, internet technology and that's faster, and this thing that we are using as a part of our life Nice. Yeah, it's changed the music consumption, how people are using music, how people are spending time with content, music-related content as well. Yeah, this calls strange creative formats like a 1-minute song, or starting with a chorus, or writing a song. What Michal said, thinking what to do with this and how to place this in this technological and strangely innovative and fastly changing environment to reach the audience. Yeah, it's a massive amount of new ways of knowledge and methods that it's impossible to pick up as an individual just from a day to another. Yeah, we are early adopters, all we are, and we tend to be some sort of, I wouldn't call elitists, but some sort of exceptionalist, or I don't know, to think that everything is now happening right there. Like now, we are speaking like kind of about things that on a general level that is not really happening with everyone right now. It's people are still listening CDs, still listening vinyls, everything is there, and you just have to pick whatever you want. And I think we should be just creative as musicians, as industry people, use this technology, be brave to use the technology, think out of the box, do whatever you want with it. If you want to make a 5-second song, do a 5-second song, and then probably you will be the first one who will make a 5 seconds. Just use it. Just be creative. And I think thinking out of the box and just to be brave to use the technology that somehow can make you innovative in a way from the perspective of the people who haven't even heard about Fortnite and Travis Scott doing a concert as a virtual figure in AI and VR and everything like that. Guys, using dare to use and be brave. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Michal? 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute song.
Well, I think...
Start with the chorus.
I'll start with the chorus. No, 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 everybody.
No, we know it.
I'm pretty scared of what's going to come because I'm one of the conservative musicians, and the thought that you have to adapt or to be able to adapt fast to new stuff and new things, new trends, new technologies, that kind of scares me. But at the same time, I'm very curious of what's going to happen with the music industry and with the world in general. But naturally, I'm more focused on music. And I think that the 4 pillars that Dino mentioned are important things to be aware of and when in the music market. So I think that as a musician, you have to adapt and you have to be aware of the 4 pillars, like recording, publishing, you said, live, and technologies, and you have to sort of update on those 4 pillars instantly. That's my advice for everybody, for free.
What about you, George?
I am old-fashioned.
30 seconds.
Yes, I am old-fashioned. I believe in creativity and the idea. So all things aside are tools. And to me, the great challenge is to think of an idea that nobody before has ever thought. Even this is a 5-second song, which in a way Beethoven's symphonies are now 5-second songs. Nobody listens from that. I don't know, a ringtone is a 5-second song now.
I would go for the word like, first of all, be authentic.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
And then adapt. And Dino, you have the final word from Milano?
I think we must keep an eye on what going digital means from different point of view. But one thing more, again, we need to think that giving away our contents, the music contents on digital platforms for free is a suicide. And that's something we have to say clear and very strong.
I totally agree with that.
And yeah, because we spent the last 10 days thinking that going digital with a lot of views is a good idea because we have something else to promote and sell. nowadays we have to think that that's the market, because somebody is going very, very big on that. TikTok was a few days ago mentioned that they are bigger than YouTube now. So think about who is making money with your contents and keep it.
This wasn't, yes, this wasn't a streaming. This was a giveaway.
It turns out that Napster was killing the music business after all.
Yeah,
I feel like doing like
technology is always killing with something, and always there are risks and hazards and disruptions. So it's always been like that.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I have to do like the persons on TV. I'm sorry, the satellite link will close. I'm really have to. But because we have the Q&As as well, gentlemen.
So we have to answer also. To proceed to some Q&A.
So let's proceed to some Q&As. Please stay with.
So hello from Athens.
Hello everybody. We saw our panel. We were together 2 weeks ago or something like that. We had a nice discussion. Now it's time for some questions. I have a question that I want to address to all the guests, and of course thank everybody for the nice talk and the brainstorming. all sleepless people. So during the conversation, Andras used a quite interesting phrase. He said, digital nomad. So my question to everybody is, how many roles an artist is supposed to be able to play at the same time during this innovative era? And how is it that the solution or something else? We have to do something else. Please start. Andras, since you declare yourself as a digital nomad, I say we start from you.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. I really look younger than before 2 weeks ago. So, how many roles? It always depends on the band, the evolutionary level of the band. If it's like an emerging band, or of course, I guess with the career phases, as a band grow, hopefully the band's members doesn't have to do anything related to marketing, communication, PR, and there are a team around them. But until reaching that point and you're an emerging band, yeah, you have to wear lots of different hats and shoes related to marketing, related to distribution, related to PR, and not just practically simply playing good on live and just doing and writing great songs. So that's my answer.
Okay, Dino?
Yeah, I think I try to think differently. I mean, if a band grows in the 2020, they cannot avoid this kind of challenge, which is a new challenge, as I said during the conference. And then after 2 weeks, I'm more and more convinced, because we are always working in this. We are talking about new medias, and we are talking about being driven by technology, but at the same time staying in your position as an artist. So work in a way in which totally different. So probably the reason why this is not a solution is that just another option. We cannot consider this a solution, but just another option. So some artists are going to use it, as some artists are doing better than others. But this is an option that is there. It is working well worldwide. In the last 2 weeks, we had a number of good best practice in this scenario, with money and with also interesting results in terms of cultural results. And it's definitely something that people have to start dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Michal?
Well, that's a tough question. I always wonder if one of the questions from you, George, was like, can the technology be an obstacle? So I always keep wondering if that's the case, that instead of focusing on making music, we're focusing too much on promoting it or getting through to people. But one thing I'd like to mention is that we're not alone in it. We have our bands, if we have our bands, of course. There's people in the band who are also willing to take their share of the social media or technology responsibilities. So don't forget about them, and try to be a good manager and to delegate things that you have to do to your bandmates. And I guess that's my answer.
George? Yeah, George?
You hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. I say we have 1 minute and something, so I'll try to share the time with you, George, because you have to answer that question too. Well, for me, I think it's a synthesis. Dino, maybe it's your mic that does this. I don't know. Somebody's mic is touching a hand. I think it's a synopsis of what you all said. It's difficult to be subjective enough, first of all, to try and find the right needs. We always focus on the assets, all of us, me first. But I think to innovate, you need to be educated, so you need to remain curious. And I think you need to dig into the new ways besides the artistic way, without thinking that you want to do this with that. You have to be authentic and to do that. I don't know. George, you have to close this down because we have 30 seconds just for you.
Okay, so for me, an artist these days should be challenged by that and be honest. I know it's difficult to have a lot of hats, but it's also nice. And okay, things change, and all. It was like that since the beginning. So to me, the real challenge was that we could, all of us in live streaming, should have a musical instrument right now and create a band and close the session like that. It would be different hat for me, for sure. Not for everybody, but okay, let's make a collection of hats.
So let's hope we'll meet soon to speak about this digital opportunity. Guys, we have to cut. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Thank you all of you. Thank you all of you for giving us the chance to meet all of you guys. We're on with the following on Music Week, Phygital edition.
Thinking The clouds came for half is growing comes by the rain. It's by the rain. It's by the rain. It's by the rain. It's by the rain. That is not you. And now you the clouds came for half is your ways by the rain. It's by the rain. By the rain. It's by the It's by the rain.
Guys, we are live on Athens Music Week Showcase. So you
Hello,
can
hey
say hi
guys.
to everyone. You are live now.
I'm Kostas Sidirokastritis. This is Nikos Giannakakis, and we're gonna answer some questions for you.
It's really nice having you here, and thank you for this. So we have a first question. This is from Andreas from Hungary. And he says, guys, your sound is overwhelming, and I'm really glad we got the chance to hear you through Athens Music Week. Are you self-taught or have you studied classical music?
I guess we can answer both to that. I have studied. My father is also a musician, and yeah, but it's kind of, I don't know. I always played what I like, no matter the studying part. So yeah, it's kind of both, I guess. And yeah, and as for Nikos, I don't know. Maybe he wants to answer.
Hi, no, yes, same for me. I've studied music and guitar. Yeah, since, yeah.
Great, thank you, thank you. And we have a next question. This is Maria from Thessaloniki. You definitely have soul and jazz influences. What really inspires your music and your sound? Because it's really sweet.
I don't know. It changes. Depends on the time. But I guess I always play, and whatever happens and makes sense, it's okay. I don't know. I really like jazz lately, and I listen to Chet Baker and stuff like that.
Okay, that's nice. And a last question. This is George from Poland. What are your future plans? What we will be waiting for you? Maybe an EP or a live or a tour or something?
We are actually working on an EP now, and actually the songs that we played, but there will be other instruments too, bass, drums, and trumpet. And we hope that we can play live, but we will see. It depends on the COVID thing. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, we wish you the best, though, and we wish that you will see you live soon because we love you here. So thank you
We love
very
you
much for being with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank
see you
thank
around. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Let them expose and see this promising creature for what it is. Though it fight was a torture, there's all in this rage can see it pulsing. God, it's 4 a.m. and you're espousing with this and serpent tail drowned in a pose of purple and uncomfortable. The laws of your kids call you a villain. They can't even call you worse, for your tongue is a curse. Your love is all good, but your burst is a torture. coldest I've ever seen. Always one foot on a bench, yet your eyes at the sea. But once just been green, watched roses start green. It's been western hills where I lies at the sea. face revealing, taking room from the local toys. That's why her pain is based on the feelings love. I felt like a creep, she has always been a lot like a spectrum, all like me, that feeling. Who's hustling in the top and she's off again. Role modeling, try hard to follow the chase, but after all, I'm the way that I am. Used to as I was scrolling backwards for your attention. Bedtimes and afternoon bright shoes and everything. Each schism in particular hate is the reason I'm loving. I'll trade on the brothers who do walk through days, going to put my stick in the peace and the life without the news. I lost twice to the car, you said the same with the kid and you still not sure. But in the end I just go for years, temptations, yeah we all have the faces of lost interpretation. To keep me informed, it is a sin to wear my past like a stretcher. But I was gonna live from now on, I'm laughing. I'm alright.
Athens Music Week Phygital Edition, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η μουσική εβδομάδα της Αθήνας ενώνει τον φυσικό με τον ψηφιακό κόσμο. Μια διεθνής μουσική συνάντηση με ομιλίες, παρουσιάσεις, webinars και showcase συναυλίες από όλη την Ευρώπη. 50 εκπρόσωποι της μουσικής βιομηχανίας, 28 καλλιτέχνες, 17 χώρες, 6 μέρες. Athens Music Week, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η καρδιά της μουσικής είναι εδώ. Συνδιοργάνωση Τεχνόπολη Δήμου Αθηναίων μέσω events. Athens Music Week Phygital Edition, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η μουσική εβδομάδα της Αθήνας ενώνει τον φυσικό με τον ψηφιακό κόσμο. Μια διεθνής μουσική συνάντηση με ομιλίες, παρουσιάσεις, webinars και showcase συναυλίες από όλη την Ευρώπη. 50 εκπρόσωποι της μουσικής βιομηχανίας, 28 καλλιτέχνες, 17 χώρες, 6 μέρες. Athens Music Week, 16 με 21 Ιουνίου. Η καρδιά της μουσικής είναι εδώ. Συνδιοργάνωση Τεχνόπολη Δήμου Αθηναίων μέσω Events.